Very good morning, everyone. Welcome to dealing a new subject, that is pharmacognosy and phytochemistry. So, what is the definition of pharmacognosy? The term pharmacognosy has been derived from the two Greek words. Those are pharmakon and gnosis. Pharmakon and gnosis. Pharmakon is also called as drug, and gnosis, which means the knowledge of, or gignosko, which means to acquire knowledge of. This is the full meaning of the term of pharmacognosy is knowledge of drugs, or to acquire the knowledge of drugs. So this pharmacognosy, this term was introduced by C.A. Seidler, a German medical student in 1815. So pharmakon is called as drug or medicine, and gnosis is a knowledge, and gignosis is to acquire knowledge. Pharmacognosy is therefore means knowledge of drugs. So coming to the introduction of pharmacognosy. Pharmacognosy is an applied science which is concerned with acquiring knowledge of crude drugs by the application of various scientific disciplines such as plants, animals, mineral sources, and it also includes the study of their history, distribution and cultivation, collection, preparation, identification, evolution, preservation and commerce. So, a brief history of natural products in medicine and a production of natural drug products, the role of natural products in the drug discovery. So, what is the history and scope? History, mainly the pharmacognosy was first used by the scientist. It's a German scientist in 1815. He is called as C.A. Seidler in his book Analytica Pharmacognostica. It is derived from two Latin words, pharmakon, a drug, and a gignosco, is a to acquire knowledge of drugs. So it means the knowledge or science of drugs. So what are drugs? Drugs are used in medicine today, are either obtained from the nature or of synthetic origin. So what are natural drugs? Natural drugs, the name itself indicates it's obtained from the plants, animals or mineral kingdom. So drugs from microorganisms like antibiotics were not known in the earlier times. So what are synthetic drugs? The name itself indicates the synthesis, means it includes the chemicals. So syntheticals like aspirin, sulfur drugs, some vitamins and some antibiotics are synthesized in laboratories from simple chemicals through various chemical reactions. So what are natural drugs and what are crude drugs? So natural drugs obtained from the plants and animals are called drugs of biological origin and the active principles. So what are crude drugs? Crude drugs are plants or animals or their parts which after collection are subjected only to drying or making them into transverse or longitudinal slices or peeling them in some cases. So drugs obtained from the plants consist of entire plants, while senna leaves and pods, nux vomica seeds, ginger rhizome, and cinchona bark are parts of the plants. So first of all, you have to collect the different parts of the plants, and after that you have to shade dry the different parts of the plant, and finally you have to do some maceration technique, and you have to evaporate the solvent through rota evaporator, and finally you will get a crude extract. So these are crude drugs, may also be obtained from the simple physical processes like drying or extraction with water. So further drugs used by physicians and surgeons or pharmacists directly, drugs or indirectly, like cotton, silk, jute and nylon in surgical dressing, or kaolin used in filtration of turbid liquid or gums. So agar used as a pharmaceutical auxiliaries. So the drugs obtained from the animals or entire animals as cantharides, glandular products like thyroid argon, or extracts like liver extracts. Similarly, fish liver oils, musk, beeswax, certain hormones, enzymes, and antitoxins are products obtained from animal sources. So the drugs are two types, those are organized or unorganized drugs. So what are organized drugs? Organized drugs are direct parts of the plants and consist of cellular tissues. Unorganized drugs. Organized drugs contains the cellular tissues. Unorganized drugs are even though prepared from the plants and they are not the direct parts of the plants and are prepared by some intermediary physical processes like incision, drying or extraction with water and do not contain cellular tissue. So these are the differences between the two drugs. First one is the organized drugs and second one is unorganized drugs. Organized drug contains a cellular tissues. Unorganized drugs do not contain the cellular tissue and these are mainly prepared by the some intermediary physical processes. Thus, alloy, opium, catechu, gums, resins, and other plant exudates are unorganized drugs. Drugs from mineral sources are kaolin, chalk, diatomite, the well-known makardwas, and other bhasmas of Ayurveda. So what is the history behind this pharmacognosy? What is the history of pharmacognosy? In the early period, the primitive man went in search of food and ate at random plants or parts like tubers, fruits, leaves, etc. So he is found that it causes no harmful effects were observed. He considered them as edible materials and used them as food. So sometimes if you eat more and more Ayurvedic products, you will caused with diarrhea and it was used as some of the drugs are used as purgatives also. So if vomiting, it was used as an emetic and it was found poisonous and death was caused. He used it as an arrow poison. So in India, the knowledge of medicinal plants is very old and medicinal properties of plants are described in Rig Veda and in Atharvaveda, from which Ayurveda has developed. So Aristotle, a student of Plato, was a philosopher and is known for his writing on animal kingdom, which is considered as authoritative even in 20th century. So he is the one. So Egyptians will do the extraction processes and all in 1050 BC itself. So the authors of antiquity, Hippocrates, the father of medicine, this is the Dioscorides, the Islamic era, Ibn al-Witr. So the era of European exploration overseas, 16th and 17th century. So so from the past days, in the early days itself, pharmacognosy or else the drugs which are used in the natural, so nature, they will get the medicine from the nature itself. So what are the differences between organized and unorganized drugs? So organized crude drugs and unorganized crude drugs. These are mainly solid in nature and unorganized drugs are solid, semi-solid or liquids in nature. Example oils, gums and balsams. So as the term indicates, these are organs of plants or animals and are made up of cells. So organized drugs made up of cells and unorganized drugs, although they are derived from the plant and its parts, but they do not contain the cellular tissues. So the botanical or zoological terminology can be used to describe these drugs. So for these unorganized crude drugs, such terminology is inadequate to describe them, but one has to look for their physical characters such as the solubility in various solvents, density, optical rotation, refractive index, etc., whichever is applicable. So what are the examples of organized crude drugs are digitalis, cinchona, clove, fennel, jalap, ephedra, conchyliar. So what are the examples of unorganized crude drugs are aloe, agar, colophony, opium, castor oil, beeswax and pepsin. So coming to the examples of unorganized drugs. So mainly the first example of unorganized drugs are latex. Latex is the milky sap of many plants that coagulates on exposure to air. So this contains lactiferous cells, lactiferous tubes and lactiferous vessels. Lactiferous vessels are mainly present in the opium. So this is the pictorial representation of this. So these are the dried juices. So nowadays you will get a lot of dried dry fruits also, like dried berries and dried dates. Everything you will get in the dried manner. So what is a dried extract? Dried extract is a solid drug preparation that can be incorporated into tablets, coated tablets and capsules. In production, the drug is most exhaustively extracted with a solvent. Thereafter, the solvent used for extraction evaporates again and the solid residue is fed to a drying process. So first of all, this dried extract is a solid drug preparation and can be incorporated into tablets, coated tablets and capsules. So it mainly extracted with a solvent. Thereafter, the solvent used for extraction evaporates again and the solid residue is kept for a drying process. These dried extracts having the moisture content of maximum 5%. However, they tend to attract moisture and thus clump together. So what are the gums and mucilases? So these mucilases are normal cells. Suppose you will get some of the trees, they'll release the gum and mucilases. These mucilases on hydrolysis yields sugars. So these sugars contains the galactose and arabinose and sugar acids also, those are uronic acids. So these are the oleoresins, resins and gums. So what is the definition of oleo gum resin? It is a solid plant exudation consisting of a mixture of volatile oil, gum and resin.